Good morning, everyone. I am Miss Maris Cortesano, together with Miss Lyra Mera Puso, and today we will be discussing the Lesson 12 Stereotype, Prejudice, and Discrimination. The stereotype. The positive negative beliefs that hold the characteristic of social groups. It can be based on the race, ethnicity, age, gender, sexual orientation, almost any characteristics. They may be positive but are often negative. So, stereotypes are oversimplified perceptions of people based on their characteristics. They are believed to be harmful because they involve making premeditated judgments and biases about others. There are 9 types of stereotypes. The first one is gender stereotypes, is an oversimplified perception of someone based on their gender or sex. This involves making assumptions about what a man or woman can and can't, or should and shouldn't do. Race and ethnicity stereotypes is a prejudgment about people based on their race, black, white, Asian, or ethnicity, Hispanic, Native, American, Pashtun. Society creates archetypal ideas about people based on their race, which can follow them throughout their lives. Many older conservative parents may want their child to marry someone of the same race as them. Sexuality stereotype. Many people continue to hold prejudice against people based on their sexual orientation. This leads to harsh discriminations against LGBTQT people. Recent decades have seen some great progress for the LGBTQ community. Even in the 1980s, gay men were seen as dirty due to moral panic about the AIDS epidemic. Many were refused medical and employment services based on their sexual orientation. Today, gay and transgender people continue to face prejudices based on assumptions about their identities. Social class stereotypes. Stereotypes about working class people have followed them through the centuries, which can prevent them from getting good jobs or access to welfare. Working class people have long been seen by the wealthier classes as dirty, uneducated, and violent. A person with a working class accent may, therefore, be marked down in job interviews not to their attitude but simply for their. The age stereotypes that assumes older people are incapable and losing intellect, or similarly, a young person is capable purely due to their age. Age-based stereotypes can include seeing an older person as unable to understand modern cultural mores or assuming they are incapable of performing physical tasks. Nationality stereotypes. Here you would be making an assumption about all people from a nation that can be damaging to individuals from the nation who don't fit into the stereotypical mold. Disability stereotypes. People with disabilities were long excluded social participation. Since the 1990s, there has been a concrete effort in Western nations to embrace the social model of disability. This model hopes to overcome stereotypes by requiring establishments and workplaces to make reasonable accommodation to ensure access to people with disability. Religious stereotypes. It can create fear of religious groups that you don't belong to. It involves othering people of a certain religion. And the last types of stereotype is the political stereotype. It creates when we retreat into our political tribes and paint people with different political views in the worst possible light. There are surely many people who fit these stereotypes. There are many more on both sides of the political spectrum with much more nuanced views of the world. By getting to know one another outside of the media bubbles, we can break down the insidious political stereotypes that drive our society to extreme positions on the political spectrum. The prejudice. Prejudice comes from the term to prejudge. In other words, it means that you are making judgments about people before you really get to know them. Usually, prejudice is based on stereotypes and generalization we have about the groups of people. It can lead unfair discriminations against people, leading to the perpetuation of disadvantage and suffering, particularly for minority groups. So, prejudice is when someone has belief, usually negative, about a person or group based on a stereotype. The belief is usually based on a person's membership or assumed members in a certain group. So these are the examples of prejudice. The first one is ableism. Negative attitudes based on physical and or mental abilities. It is a discrimination against people who are disabled. C6CSM. Negative attitudes towards people who don't identify with the sex they were assigned at birth. It is a discrimination against transgender. Homophobia. The negative attitudes towards members of 2S LGBTQ+ community. It is the negative attitudes and feelings towards homosexuality or people who identify or are perceived as being lesbian, gay, or bisexual. The racism. Negative attitude based on a race, ethnicity, and or all culture. It is the discrimination of or antagonist by an individual or community or institutions against a person or people on the basis of their membership. Sexism. The negative attitudes based on a gender identity, gender expression, and or assigned at birth. Sexism can affect anyone, but it primarily affects women and girls. It has been linked to gender rules and stereotypes, and many include the belief that one sex or gender is intrinsically superior to another. And the last one example is xenophobia, negative attitudes based on the nation or origin country. It is against people from other countries, or it is also the fear or dislike of anything which is perceived as being foreign or strange. Discrimination. It refers to actions or behavior towards an individual of a group of people. According to United Nations, discriminatory behaviors take many forms, but they all involve some form of exclusion or rejection. So, discrimination is the behavioral component or differential actions taken towards members of specific social groups. These are the few examples of discrimination. The first one is genocide. It is the action of recognizing someone as different so much that they are treated inhumanly. Apartheid. This means separatedness, which is form of racial discriminations where one race is viewed as less than the other. The third one is gender discriminations. Gender discrimination when someone is treated unequally or disadvantageously based on their gender but not necessarily on a sexual nature. That includes harassment, discrimination based on a sex, gender, identity, or gender expression. And the last example of discrimination is the LGBT discrimination. It happens when LGBT people treated as lesser than straight people.
Good day everyone. So, this is the continuation of the report of Miss Maris. What are the negative effects of stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination on mental health? It can lead to people with mental illness being discriminated against and bullied, feeling isolated and excluded, experiencing low self-esteem, and even having suicidal thoughts. People with the mental illness may feel rejected by the people they know, their family and friends, employers, or the community. So, ito daw po ay maaring humantong sa mga taong may sakit sa pag-iisip na diskriminasyon laban sa isang nambubuli o nakakaramdam daw din po ng mababang pagpapahalaga sa sarili at maging ang pagkakaroon ng pag-iisip ng pagpapakamatay. Ang mga taong may sakit sa pag-iisip ay maaaring makaramdam ng pagtanggi ng mga taong kilala nila o kanilang pamilya, mga kaibigan, employer o mapakomunidad man. Learn about mental health. Reflect on your own ideas and actions to see if you have prejudiced attitude or act discriminatory. Magmuni-muni sa iyong sarili, mga ideya at aksyon upang makita kung ikaw ay may maling pag-uugali o pagkikilos sa mga paraang diskriminasyon. Don't laugh at jokes that are based on stereotypes. Huwag tumawa sa mga biro ng may mga stereotypes. Refuse to watch movies, read books, play video games, or participate in activities promoting negative towards certain groups of people. So, tumangging manood daw ng mga pelikula, magbasa ng mga libro, maglaro ng mga video games at lumahok sa mga aktibidad na nagpo-promote ng negatibo sa ilang grupo ng mga tao. What can I do about stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination? Everyone has different beliefs, experiences, abilities, appearance, and more. However, certain people and groups are more likely to experience stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination. So, ang bawat isa daw ay may iba't ibang paniniwala, karanasan, kakayahan, anyo at higit pa. Gayunpaman, ang ilang mga tao at grupo ay mas malamang na nakakaranas ng mga stereotypes, prejudice or pagkiling at diskriminasyon. Stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination often come to inequalities in society, so mga hindi pagkakapantay-pantay sa lipunan. Ideas learned about other people, groups from family members, friends, or media. So mga ideyang natutunan tungkol sa ibang tao, grupo mula sa mga miyembro ng pamilya, kaibigan o mapamedya man. Not spending a lot of time with people who are different from you in some way. So, mga hindi gumugugol ng maraming oras sa mga taong naiiba sa iyo o sa ibang paraan. That's all. Thank you.